to present my research paper on a prospective study to assess the association of lumbar spondylolisthesis and its outcome in patients undergoing total knee replacement. We call it as a knee spine syndrome. So does total knee replacement contribute to better functioning of the spine? Let's find out. So we all know that degenerative changes in the knee, which leads to change in the alignment as well as the gait pattern, which invariably it affects the progression of the spine degeneration, and vice versa. We call it as a knee spine syndrome. So usually they have an overlapping symptom, like in the knee spine syndrome, the patient do have both symptoms, but they usually common symptoms like overlapping knee with back pain, and they have an altered gait. So what is the need for this study? There is a rise in elderly population. There's an increasing demand for total knee replacement, and to understand the pathomechanics much better, and we all know that there is an unhappy group following total knee replacement, and some studies have shown that they're dissatisfied following the spine symptoms usually associated with the ONE. So we all know that this is a dynamic trio, the malfunctioning of the one system which directly or indirectly affects the other two. So when we did a PubMed search, there is a paucity of literature, especially in the knee spine syndrome. So we all know that this is the basic varus thrust guide. You can notice that there is a significant lateral trunk lean, which leads to the patient commonly present in OPD with an associated back pain. So what happens biomechanically when there is a lateral trunk lean gait? There is a lot of stresses goes to the iliocostralis and external oblique muscles, which leads to early fatigue and back pain. So our primary objective of the study is whether the restoring the knee alignment, which will improve the spine function, or whether the intensity of backache corresponds to the severity of the knee deformity. So we conducted this study at Ortho 1 Specialty Center, Coimbatore, from the study period from 2018 to 20. After obtaining the ethical committee clearance, we included 102 patients, out of which we finally selected 65. In these 3 patients, we had a dropout. Finally, we included 62 patients with final radiological and functional outcome analysis. So these are our inclusion and exclusion criteria. We did a standard pre-op scanogram and both AP and lateral and skyline view with weight-bearing view, and the spine was evaluated using the dynamic lateral flexion and extension view. So we divided a 3 group of patients. Group A is a varus less than 10 degree, Group B is a varus 10 to 20 degree, and Group C is a more than 20 degree. So these are the 3 groups which we compared, Group A and Group B and Group C, and we ensured that on table there is all the sagittal correction was achieved. So these are the measured parameters in our study. The radiological parameters, hip, knee, ankle angle, pre-op and 6 months post-op. And spine was evaluated the level of listhesis and the grade of listhesis. The functional outcome score, pre-op and 2 years follow-up, Oxford knee score and Oswestry disability index for the spine, and VAS score for both knee and spine. So these are the result outcome. The mean age of the patient is 63.8 years. Predominantly female patients were there in our study. And compared to the unilateral and bilateral, unilateral was predominant in our study. And this is a group-wise distribution. The majority of the patients, they came under the group B, that's a varus between the 10 to 20 degree. The most common level of listhesis in our study was the L4 and L5, and we graded the listhesis based on the Meyerding classification. The most common type of listhesis is a grade 2 listhesis. This is my outcome analysis, which shows a significant improvement in the spine score at pre and post comparatively, both ODI and spine VAS score. But the inter-group comparison, there is no significant difference irrespective of their degree of varus, both Group A, Group B, and Group C. I will explain what is the reason behind it. You can notice that even with the varus of less than 10 degree, this gentleman had a significant lateral trunk lean to offload the middle compartment and associated with pain. So that could be the reason for there is no intergroup difference. And this lady, she had a varus of 10 to 20 degree with significant lateral trunk lean. So my outcome summary in my study is total of 62 patients on 2 years follow-up, out of which 84% of the patient they needed any spine intervention in the follow-up. And only the 16% had a persistent spine symptom following the post-total knee replacement, out of which 8 patients we could manage well with the conservative management therapy. Only the 2 patients which required the spinal intervention in the follow-up. So you can see the varus of significant with lateral trunk lean, which I showed early. So this gentleman, after realigning with a neutral alignment, he could achieve a well-balanced trunk without any back pain. So this is the patient which need an intervention in the follow-up. She is a 72 years female, disabled. She underwent a first single-stage unilateral total knee replacement. But patient had presented with a persistent back pain. So she underwent a L3, L5 transpedicular fixation. This is the case number 2. Patient presented with a bilateral severe varus. We did a bilateral total knee. At 3 months follow-up, the patient with L4, L5 listhesis, we did a decompression and fusion. So coming to the literature, the patients with varus thrust, it shows that there is a significant high risk of moderate to severe low back pain, which explains the mechanism of the knee spine syndrome. And this study is from the Spine Journal. It shows they recommend very specifically following a T-leaf, they recommend to go for a total knee replacement, basically to prevent the adjacent segment disease. So the other study till date, what they analyzed is basically a sagittal alignment. What we did is a effect of coronal realignment over the trunk balance as well as the functional outcome in the spine following the intervention. So this is the comparison with the other study literature. The restoring the knee alignment in our case, which shows that it improves back pain due to listhesis. And this is our algorithm. The patients with knee spine syndrome first go for a clinical and radiological assessment for the both knee and spine. If the back pain is predominant more than the knee pain with some red flag signs in the neurological deficit, with the high grade of listhesis, intervene the spine first. With the patient with the knee pain more than back pain or any signs with significant, recommended total knee replacement. So stint of the study, the first study to assess the outcome in knee spine syndrome after total knee replacement, and which assess the effect of coronal knee deformity on spine, the sample size of 62 with follow-up 2 years. The conclusion of my study, restoring the knee alignment and gait following a total knee replacement, it improves the function and balance of the spine. Few recommendations for the spine surgeon: always address the knee degeneration in patients undergoing, especially the degenerative listhesis. And for our arthroplasty surgeon, the message is the routine clinical examination of the spine and radiological assessment in TCA should be done in all our OPD. It is easy to counsel because there could be overlapping symptom, medically legally safe. And we should have form a happy trio. Thank you. Thank you very much.